This is Road to the Golden Door, where we unpack the proven success formula straight from the minds of Golden Door winners, uncovering the motivation, methods, and the mindset it takes to become an elite performer in door-to-door sales and in life. This is Road to the Golden Door. Now, here's your host, Mikey Lucas.
What's up, guys? Hey, welcome back to the show. I'm super excited about today. I've got my boy David Summerly here on the Zoom and on the show today. David's been knocking for longer than I've been around, so almost 30 to 34 years now. David's been knocking doors. So, David, I'm really excited about having you on because not only that, but not only have you been knocking doors for a very long time, but you're hyper successful. You know, you're a father, and you have done great things in your community, which I've seen. You're an American, you're a patriot, and dude, you're just somebody that as on this show, I always tell people this is that there's somebody worth following, and Dave, that's one of the reasons why I have you on. So, David, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Awesome.
You having me on.
My pleasure. So, David, Euro Shield Roofing, you're a roofing Golden Door Award winner. You hit Golden Door in 2019-2018 season. Super excited. Hit, I think it was a plus 260, 270 roofs in that year. That is not an easy thing to do, David. I would always tell people, my roofers, that if you're not selling a Golden Door, you're just probably not working. So I'm really excited to hear your story. It is. I want to know what the hard parts about roofing is. I want to know what the hard parts about door-to-door are. Some of the hurdles, mindset, and the formulas that you've actually come up with to be able to get to the point where you've hit the Golden Door and now are very successful selling with the new company Euro Shield. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell of our listeners that don't know who you are. Let them know who this Golden Door Award winner is.
Thank you. Honored to be on. Honored to hopefully provide some sort of value for at least one person out there, if not many. I'm really excited to continue talking about what we're doing and sharing it with others because I think it's the biggest opportunity in the world. I started out as a kid, pretty rough beginning at the beginning, and that's how I ended up knocking doors. Long story short on that one, I was like 6 years old, give or take, and I had a girl at school I wanted to take to the movies, and her name was Destiny. And I knew that my mom wasn't going to take her drinking money and spend it on me going to the movies. So I said, okay, how do I get a solution to this? How do I figure out how to take Destiny to the movies? And so I looked around and I had a ton of apartment complexes where I was living in the inner city at the time. And I noticed that people hated walking all the way to the dumpsters with their trash. And so I said, well, somebody could take their trash out for them. So I went and I just knocked on every door and I said, hey, I'll take your trash out for a dime. And most of them just looked at me astounded, handed me $1 and shut the door. And I made a ton of money. I took out a bunch of trash too, but most of them just handed me $1. And so we ended up moving overnight. I never got my date with Destiny. And I got to the new place and I had pockets full of money and all of a sudden made friends faster. It was like, oh, this is cool. Had to learn lessons there eventually, right? But many years later, after I got into roofing, and all the other guys in my office loved them to death, but they were sitting around waiting on leads to come in. And I had heard that there was this windstorm in this small town, and I just went out and just started knocking doors, hardcore. Back to my alarm sales days a few years prior to that. And I'm out knocking, and I'm walking down the road, and I was thinking, I never got my date with Destiny. And I was looking, and I had a handful of contracts because I was just killing it that day. And I said, I think I did get my date with Destiny. This is for me. I love what I do. I got my date with Destiny.
Let's go.
So for me, that was like really cool.
Love to hear that. That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I would like to a little bit, if you can explain that a little bit to me. A lot of the listeners, I talk about living a life of purpose for purpose all the time. And that has a lot to do with, your legacy, your destiny. I can imagine you don't believe, well, I guess I can ask you, do you think that everything happens already pre-written, or do you think that there's like, as far as like, you know, your destiny goes, or do you think there's like kind of freedom of choice inside of that, like the Matrix, if you will, like the red pill, the blue pill? Do you
Good
think it's already
question.
all pre-planned?
I think that there's human nature. I think that there's things happening around us at all times, and I think that we can take control of our destiny and how we want our life to go and the impact and influence that we're going to have on others. We can't control others without a massive amount of influence, right? But we can prepare ourselves to have a bigger influence on others, and we definitely can prepare ourselves to have a bigger influence on ourselves and to invite others to have an influence on us.
Awesome. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about your door-to-door background. You said you did alarms. I know you're doing roofing. How long did you do alarms for?
One summer, and it was tough, man. Alarms is tough. It was not for me. I worked my tail off. I did pretty well, but it was a rough one. That company isn't even around anymore. But I learned a lot in that, and it was some grit. Prior to that, I was Mormon, and I served a mission in Vegas, and so that was very helpful. The skills that you pick up going out and knocking doors and trying to sell someone a whole new belief system, that's tough, and people get very emotional about it and very reactive, and so it gives you some
Right.
grit.
Yep. Yeah, you know, I'm born and raised in Vegas. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think I saw that on your podcast that you had with River.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Vegas, man. Vegas is a Vegas will make you, and Vegas will destroy you.
Yeah, I did that to a lot of missionaries.
Yeah, and the locals there. A lot of people move there, and they think, you know, oh yeah, Vegas, we're gonna. And that's why we hear it all the time. It's like, oh, I could never live in Vegas. You know,
Yeah,
it's like, well, yeah, you can never live in Vegas if all we did every day was party. Yeah, of
right.
course you would not be able to make that.
If the locals live like tourists, they wouldn't live
Yeah,
long.
exactly. So, yeah, Vegas is an awesome city to live in. Absolutely love it there. It is home. So,
Nice.
you know, I don't live there anymore. I live now in Houston, but Vegas is definitely where home will always be. So, tell me a little about tell me about your year, man. Let's go. Take me back to 2018. Walk me through that. Where was David at mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, emotionally in 2018 when you hit that golden door? Let's go back to those years, man.
Yeah, cool. So I had moved from a sales job where I was working for a distributor, lost that job in an instant. It was the best and worst thing that could happen to me. You know, I freaked out like in
Mm.
my head, scared to death because I'd had that job for many years, and went outside, like quietly packed my things up, went outside, got in my truck, got on the highway, and just screamed at the top of my lungs. And it was a scream of, oh my God, I just lost my job, and a scream of, I'm free, because I hated that job and I tried so hard to love it. And it just wasn't a great company. But I went from there, went home, and man, the value of building a network was learned that day. I went home and was scared to death. What am I going to do? And I went on Facebook and said, just lost my job. And I don't even remember what else I said, hit send. And within 15 minutes, I had a better job.
Wow.
And it was somebody knew somebody, and boom, you know, and they knew me well enough to know that I would do, you know, represent them well at that new company. And so went into marketing sales, ended up selling two roofers. Long story short, ended up working for a roofer that I had sold to their business partner on a different venture. And being in this new space, it was all new to me, ton to learn, most of it on my own. And so it was a little bit scary, but also exciting. Like, where can you go make more money? And it doesn't matter what your background is. And that was really neat. 2018, we had a really good storm in a small town where we started picking up some deals real quick. And then Kansas City, where I was, it was kind of dead. There wasn't any good storms that had come in. It was a company that was based mostly on storming. And so that's a problem. You know, if you're not a retail company, you don't have any storms, you better learn to sell. And so I started selling some retail, but it was tougher, you know. And then the Aurora, Colorado storm hit in June 2018. It was a big deal. And so I was asked to go out there and open up an office in Aurora, Colorado, and ended up selling so much in Aurora, Colorado and that surrounding area in Denver, but ended up getting asked to go up and sell in Wyoming without the company's permission. I just went up there and sold a bunch of jobs and was like, hey guys, we're in Wyoming now. And they're like, David, you don't understand. Like, we have to get licensed there. There's a lot that goes with that. And I was like, well, I don't know. I sold a bunch of jobs though. Just come up here and figure it out. And so it was quite a process for them to get licensed in Cheyenne, Wyoming. But if the money's there, if you get ink on paper, they seem to find a way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you said what it sounds like is that as far as a character trait that you have is you have a can-do attitude.
Have
that
to.
be
Have to. Yeah, the way I grew up, we moved a lot, and I moved to a new place, and I had to find new friends, had to find places where I could go make money, whatever it needed. I needed to go find it as fast as I could, and so that achiever is my top strength. If you do the Strengths Finder, and I think a lot of that comes from I had no choice but to be one.
Tell me about that really quick. Do you know your top 5, top 10?
I could pull it up for you, but
do you remember?
No.
What were the top in the top 5 or top 10 that you did? What were the ones that stuck out to you most? I know obviously Achiever was right there.
Achiever's obviously huge. That's number one. All the rest of them were in the far right green area. More the learning. The ability to learn is everything, right? Intellect and learner and a few others in that area. But just being able to go in and learn things constantly. I'm addicted to YouTube and looking up interviews of happy billionaires. I don't want to know about the miserable billionaires or the broke happy people. Like, I want to learn about the people who have the life that I would like to have. And
interesting.
Whether I'm going to be a billionaire or not, I want to live like they live and become the people that I admire.
Yeah, we were just talking about that off mic. It's like, why would you sign up to go start a new company and new office somewhere else or whatever? Start a second office out of your one office just to say, oh yeah, we're gonna fail. I can't wait. This is so exciting.
Yeah,
no,
you're gonna go for everything you want.
Interesting. I love to hear that. So that's actually that's actually the second book that I when I owned my solar companies, the second book that I would give them to read. We had a book club. I would actually pay my people to read books. I'd pay them $50 to read the book. And then they would have to present it back to us, 2 or 3 minutes, just talking about key points they learned from the book, 2 or 3 minutes. And they would write a front and back 2 pages of handwritten notes, just like it could be anything. It didn't have to be an essay, just literally, here's what I learned from it. It could be straight quotes it could be the whole 2 pages could be straight quotes from the book. I don't really care. It doesn't matter. You can write in 25 font, and I'd pay them $50, and then I would buy the book back. So if it would cost $20 on Amazon or at Barnes and Noble, whatever, you got $70. So nice. I was hacking the system, and that's a little tip for people. I was hacking the system because what I was doing was you retain about 10% of what you read, about 20 to 30% of what you read and write down, and about 70 to 80%, with massive jump there, about what you read, write down, and then go and teach.
That makes sense. So, I had a company that had us all read the book Raving Fans one time and did the same thing. And guess what? It's one of the books that I remember.
Exactly. Right. Isn't that funny?
It is
funny how that works.
As a
leader, of course, as a leader, and I know it works. As a leader, I had to find, strategic ways and formulas that could get people out of the mindset that they're in, which I'd love to talk with you about here in a little bit about what your mindset was then and how it has changed, if it has changed to now. But how do I get somebody from basically an employee mindset, which even if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're in door-to-door sales, a lot of the guys that I've coached, thousands of sales reps that I've coached now, hundreds of companies, 200 plus companies that I've consulted and coached now, a lot of even their owners are employee mindsets. If you hear how they talk about seeing problems, reps, recruiting, business in general, like they have an employee mindset, and it's really hard. It's like nails on the chalkboard for me as a superpreneur that I'm like, dude, what in the heck are you talking about? Like, I'm a serial entrepreneur, philanthropist, like trying to change the world. And I'm one of those crazy ones that thinks I can do that. Right. But yeah, so that book, Strength Finders, you recommend people reading that?
So somebody in the industry that I love sent me the test over, and I did the test, but I've heard that the book is phenomenal. I haven't read the book yet.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the book is like 30 pages, so
Cool.
it's nothing crazy. The book talks about why. I mean, the book it basically, to sum the book up, it's not the book that's really important. The book is 30 pages, and the back of it is the back of it is all of the strengths. So basically, you have it's hey in elementary school to high school, traditional schooling, they taught us to, if you had a on math, an A on science, and a D on English, what were you, David, what were you supposed to focus on?
Well, you're supposed to work on your weakness there to bring it up so that you can at least see everything.
Right. And in business, it's actually the opposite. You're
Right.
supposed to, they're teaching us how to be employees, you see. In
Double down on
business,
your strengths and outsource your weaknesses.
outsource the resources, delegate the weaknesses, right? So in business, that is what we do. So that's ultimately what the first 30 pages of that is. And then inside of those, the achiever, the learner, whatever, right? The activator, I'm an activator as well. That is what there's articles in there, I'm sure you read yours, but tells you how to work with an achiever, how to work with two achievers, how to work with somebody that's the opposite of an achiever, if it's your assistant or whatever. It's really, really cool. I definitely recommend that to everybody. I think it's an awesome thing. I'm glad that you've understood that, and knowing that you're an achiever is something that's really cool. So, and I always tell people, retake the test every about 3 to 5 years. One girl that used to work for me, she's a Golden Door Award winner. She took it back in 2018, I think. Took it again in 2020 or 2021. Completely changed. Went from an employee to an entrepreneur. Completely changed.
Good for her.
Yeah. She cleared, I think, $450,000 her top year with me. Her and her partner, they did really, really well. She's awesome. So, but anyway, so yeah, you're an achiever. That's freaking badass, dude. So do you ever then feel like you can, if you think about it, you can get you get a lot done, but you don't feel like you're getting enough done? You feel like that, I'm assuming?
Oh yeah, I put way more pressure on myself than anyone else. It's funny. I kind of chuckle to myself if someone ever goes and tries to put pressure on me, because I'm thinking in my head like, you have no idea. I work way harder than you're asking me to work already.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. How is there anything you've done to solidify that, or to lower that pressure, mitigate, relieve the tension of that pressure of being a high achiever? Because you can imagine most, if not every single Golden Door Award winner is going to be an achiever. They absolutely have the top, in their top 10 at least, according to Strength Finders 2.0, have to be in their top 10. So that's definitely a character trait, I would say, that all Golden Door Award winners have. So is there anything that you're doing right now? I've got some ideas for me if you don't have any, but is there anything that you're doing right now to give yourself a pat on the back, checking off, boxes, writing things down? Like, what are you doing to solidify that? Because I guarantee you, bro, you're running circles around almost everybody around you, and you still beat yourself up a little bit.
Good hands. Yeah, the gym has been really helpful for me. It's easy to get in the wrong mindset if you're working way too hard and you're not finding a little bit of balance in your life, eating healthier or hitting the gym or meditating, praying, whatever works best for you, learning constantly, all those things. You have to do those things, and it can be easy to get into where you're only doing the one thing and it's too much. And so if all I did was work, you can get out of balance. You have to keep that balance, right? Just like your hormones, if your hormones are out of whack, your testosterone goes too low or estrogen too high, it's going to throw you off. And so you have to find some balance in your life. And so hitting the gym almost every morning has been a big help for me. One regret that I have, that summer I worked so hard, that summer and the next one out in Colorado, I just worked constantly, and I never took any time on the weekends or anything to go and hike in the mountains or go snowboarding. That is the one regret that I have. And so now in my current job, I work constantly 7 days a week, but on the weekends, I don't go get in front of roofers in person, but I instead will go and hang out at the beach, get in the ocean water. give myself a refresh, because I never want to look back again and go, hey, went and achieved all that, but I didn't actually enjoy any of
I'm going to call that the achievement formula, bro.
it. There you go.
I really like that. Explain that to me again. Go into depth a little bit more on that. So you said you never want to have to look back. In other words, living a life of regret. That's such an achiever thing to say. I love that. You never want to look back and regret that. What was it? What did you say?
I don't know, but I don't want to look back and regret that I didn't actually enjoy my life, live my life. Like, yes, I have big goals. There's things I want to do, primarily to do a service to the world and my fellow man. But, I also, I
Yeah.
just put pressure on myself to hit different things, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want to do all of that for no reason. I want to actually also enjoy my life, but I can enjoy
Yeah.
my life while still working my butt off. And there's just finding a balance in there and doing that. You can be a high achiever and still enjoy life.
Yeah. Kind of like one of our boys. I see his book back there, Ed Milet, Power of One More.
One more.
Let's
One
go,
more
baby.
round.
I love that. I love that. I love Ed. Ed's a good. Ed's a very close mentor of mine. I'm in an
Love it.
Arte syndicate is mastermind, and it's last year now, going on 2 years with Ed now, and just proximity, just having proximity to the guy is just phenomenal. It's just wild,
His
But like,
speech. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. You're talking about his speech at Door Con?
Oh man, it shook me. It shook me. I cried, dude. I That speech was one of the most impactful speeches I've ever heard in my life. And before that, I didn't really know. He wasn't really on my radar. Tom Bilyeu, Tony Robbins, The Rock, these people were on my radar. That was not at the time. And I was so grateful that Sam brought Ed Milet to DDDCon, because that speech, I'm a dad, and there were so many things where he hit me in that speech, and I was just like, oh, wow. And it drove me even harder, hearing, basically, as a dad, my daughter needs to see that those things are true and possible, and I don't need to give up on those things just
Oh yeah,
to only just to be there for her. I've got to find that balance of being a loving dad, being supportive, being there when she needs me, but also going after my dreams and achieving them so that she knows that it's possible.
I know that means a lot to your daughter. How old is she now?
Pardon me, she's 15. She'll be 16 in November.
So, I just got married,
Congratulations.
and I've been thank you, and I've been asking men this question, and Ed Milet was the only one that I could get the right answer from. Not the right answer, but the answer I guess I was looking for. A lot of times guys will just kind of front, and Ed Milet's basically a billionaire now.
Right.
Heck, the millionaire is, it's close to that. And he said it so eloquently that I was like, wow, this is why I love Ed. I asked them, like being that I know I'm on the trajectory to become successful. I know where my destination is because my direction is going in that direction. My direction determines my destination. I know I'm heading in that direction. What my
Grow the muscles
fears
on the
were,
way.
yeah, what my fears were the same thing that we were talking about off mic and just a second ago was I didn't want to start a family. I didn't want to start a business. I didn't want to, do all that and then, have to sacrifice both and they both explode. I wanted to be able to, how do I, as a hyper successful business owner and, husband, father, brother, son, grandson, and community member, how do I do all of those? And I've labeled it called whole life success. So just because I've got a lot of money, but I'm an asshole to my kids, like doesn't make me a great business person. I don't respect that. Like, I understand that there's certain attributes about people that like, hey, look, like they're just really bad in that area. But again, that's their weakness. I can't judge you for having that weakness. I can say, hey, look, I'm going to learn from your weaknesses so that I can either try to figure out how to have a better lifestyle, the lifestyle that I want to design, the life that I want to live, which is what it sounds like you're looking to do and what your goal was, having this destiny. But dude, I wanted to ask people like, how are you intentionally like helping your daughter, not be, I mean, like it's really a lot of it's chance, but what do you do to like instill to not make a kid that's a really, a really like needy, not one that can, how do you say this? Not one that's like I got a bunch of girls in my mind. I don't want to say their names, but it's like, how do you make them not, it's a Summerlin girl. Like, how do you not make them like basically, how do you not make them a bitch and like actually appreciative and happy to be around and like grateful and not reliant on daddy forever? Like, how do you make her into her own woman? Like, what do you do? Like, you're very successful. I know that. Like, do you just give her anything she ever asks for? Do you challenge her? Do you incentivize her? What do you do?
So with my daughter, I've been very fortunate. I think that there's a mixture of human nature, genetics, and raising. And I think raising is the most important part. But you can do everything right and get the result you didn't think you wanted. It always comes down to that other individual at the end of the day. But I've been very fortunate. My daughter has always been an angel. She's a very good kid. I have always been consistent. I grew up on promises, and I didn't want my daughter to ever know what a broken promise is. And so I always kept my word. And hence why what Ed Milet said what he did, it hit me, like, hey, I talked these big dreams and these big goals, but I slept in that day, or I went out drinking the night before, or this or that, and I didn't get the thing I wanted. Okay, I need to get myself back in check and on goal and on mission. And, men are just mission oriented by nature, right? So that helps me to stay on my path, trying to be a good example to her. But my daughter, fortunately, has always been very grateful for everything. I have never spoiled her. She'll never want for anything as far as actual needs. But I just have always been consistent with her, lovingly firm, never off the handle. Very just, hey, this is how things are, and let me explain to you why, and then I'm going to hear you out. And talk to her like she's an adult since she was a little kid. And that behavior from me has created a very mature child that now is able to help all of her peers. When there's a kid acting up in class, instead of just complaining about that kid, she goes over and says, hey, how can I help you? You're struggling in this class. I'm really good at this subject. How can I help? And it's developed her into a leader without her even realizing it.
Woo! Let's go. I love that, dude. Creating a leader that creates other leaders, brother. That's awesome. Love to hear that. I appreciate you doing that for your daughter as well, man. That's awesome. Tell me a little bit. Let's go back to Ed Milet's speech, man. I personally have listened to that speech, God, probably thousands of times, 1,500 times at least, since that day. It's something I literally will listen to it for a few months in a row, probably 6 or 7 months in a row last year, probably four to 6 months. I listen to that every single morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't been quite that many, but it's been many dozens. Like that speech and different variations of that speech he's given elsewhere. I have heard that speech repeatedly, and it's just, there's just so I could go on all day about it. There's just so many things about it that it's a huge impact. Anyone who hasn't seen Ed Milet speak, go check that out.
Yeah. Have you? I know you obviously have his book back there. Have you finished it yet?
I have not. That one just came in, and I stuck it on the shelf, and I actually went on another trip and was out of town for a month. So
it just came out not even a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So yeah, I know, I agree. I'm actually currently listening to it on Audible. It's a shorter, like 5 or 6 hour listen. So I almost fired through the half the book in one day on a Sunday actually, and I've got a couple hours left. It is great. Like, it is. A lot of guys that I've seen, they have a podcast, they have a show. It's just usually what they're talking about on the podcast or a show. You can tell Ed put time into this, and it's him. Like, it's really, really cool to see that Ed put a lot of time into this book, and you could tell he did because he's throwing all this freaking money at it. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell this guy has to sell other than his mastermind. Right. Like, the guy's really not. Yeah, I mean, he's got like nothing he's selling other than his mastermind, and that thing's banging with people. Like, there's so many people in there, it's not even funny. And then they're giving out these like virtual tickets to it as well, where it's like you can kind of like join from the sideline. It's like, I don't know why he's throwing so much money into it if he's not just trying to just give back, which is one of the coolest parts about Ed, is that, he would hand the keys over to you or me, just because, we're good people. So, so that was the year you got your Golden Door.
It was 2018.
Yeah,
well, I received it in 2019. Yeah,
and then that was when Ed spoke.
Was it that?
Or was
one?
that the next year?
I think it was the next year.
I don't know.
2020, he spoke. So
You're right. Yeah, that year I remember. Actually, you're right. I didn't even go to 20. I didn't even go the year that my old partner, and I did not want our team to go for some reason, which is really weird. But the next year, Ed spoke, and I was like, "Bro, I ain't missing this. I don't care." I was like, I'm going to see Ed tonight. I'll be on a call with Eric Thomas. Eric, you like Eric Thomas?
ET.
Yeah, I'll be on a call. Yeah, I'll be on a call with him tonight. He's dope. He's going to be speaking to our mastermind. He's good friends with Cole Adder, which is my mentor. So
I want to breathe.
Excited.
That speech about going out in the ocean, man. That's huge.
Yeah. When you want, and it's funny. I have that. I have that when I wake up. I've got a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then next to that, I have a when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. Poster on a big poster, like a 4x3.
Both of those have been big for me. Mel Robbins and her method, and then now she's like on this give yourself a high five thing. And it's funny. Years ago, I was dating someone many years ago, and we went to a Chuck E. Cheese birthday party. And the Chuck E. Cheese song, give yourself a high five. And I was just laughing. And I was like, that's awesome. I freaking love this. I love that that's being taught to kids now. And I hope that some of them never lose that.
Yeah, I agree.
It's okay. Don't be braggadocious. Don't be a jerk. But give yourself a high five, man. If you're going out and you're working, you put in the work, you deserve to give yourself a high five or a pat on the back,
I love that. Let me transition really quickly, David. What are some of the hurdles mentally that you've had to go through? I know that you said you've had a little bit of a hard not a crazy hard upbringing, but like I knew you had a hard upbringing with your family and all that. Going through what you went through. What with the guys that are going through, guys and girls that listen to the show, the listeners here in the audience, a lot of them, they reach out to me all the time and they're like, Mikey, thanks for saying that. Thanks for being honest. Thanks for, being uplifting and inspiring. There's just so many people that I talk to and even people that I coach that are just going through it mentally. And that mental resilience is something that I know that you have, watching you and following you these years now, that you have and built mental resilience. Where did that start? Why did you need that? Is it because you're a father to a girl in this generation? Like, obviously your daughter is going to be outstanding, right? Like, just because they grew up in this generation doesn't mean they're going to be, it's hell in a handbasket. Like, where did that start at, by the way? Where was that?
I think you'd be surprised. I think it started for me when I was a baby. I was actually left for dead. I was found listless, and I had no choice but to survive. And then over time, I've had to learn how to thrive. Surviving isn't enough, not for me anyway. I've got to go more. And I figure, I look at all of these really successful billionaires that are actually happy people, and most of them don't come from daddy and mommy gave me everything and everything was just cushy and fine. That makes you soft. And yes, someone can come from that background and still be successful. It's happened, right? But the vast majority of people that are extremely successful and actually care about people and want to make a difference in the world, they come from a hard background. And so somewhere in my years, probably my early 20s, I look back and said, look, things weren't great. Cool. Wah. That's in the past. I'm a whole new person now. And there's nothing whining about those things is never going to help me get anywhere. What I can do, though, is use that as my jump off point, put a chip on my own. Hey, that's where I come from. It just means the distance I can go is even further because it gives me more drive. And so I have, from that point, just no looking back, roll forward. And that to me has been a huge help. The harder it started out is the more push you've got to go forward, and the more you do succeed and go forward is the more obligation I have to help others and bring other people with me.
What is it about Golden Door Award winners that we all want to just help people? Like what is it about us, bro? Tell me why is it that a Golden Door winner just wants to help people?
You know, there was at DDDCon one year, Jim Johnson, I think, was the person that was giving a talk, and he talked about the origin of the words to sell. I think it's Latin root of it or whatever. It actually means to give. And people don't think about it that way. They think of selling as taking. But in reality, you know, there's a difference. Tony Robbins says there's a difference between a con man and a salesman, and intention is the difference, right? When you're actually caring about human beings, you want to help them get over their own bullshit, pardon my language, and you help them get to where they want to be by selling them, right? And so if you actually care about people, you will work harder. You will get in front of more people. You will help them get around their own hurdles that they're putting in front of themselves to keep them from having what they want, but maybe don't feel they deserve.
Why do you think that it's like that nowadays? Why do you think that people don't feel like they deserve? I was just talking about this yesterday on a coaching call. Why do you think that people don't feel like they deserve it?
I think people were born to win and programmed to lose. I think that society gives us lots of distractions and lots of negative things to bring down our energy and make it so that we just get comfortable where we're at, so that there's more to go around for the people at the top. So, but the funny thing about that is the people at the top, most of them want you to win. They just know that the vast majority of people aren't going to choose to.
Isn't that funny, dude? I feel the same exact way about the people on top do want you to win, because they need other winners around them, because they know that they have to have a good team around them. So they need people to win, and it's so few people that do. I think there's a lot of negative stigma that are negative stigma, negative stereotypes about billionaires and, you know, hectomillionaires like that. And
I used to have one, and a family changed things for me one time, and it was a life-changing experience. You know, I used to be Mormon. When I went to the missionary training center in Utah, there was a family that let me come stay with them for the week before I went into the missionary training center. And I went in there with a bad attitude because I felt I grew up poor. Mind you, in America, no matter how poor you are, we have it better than most of the world. I'm very grateful. But back then, I didn't know that. And so I thought, oh, I come from this and they had that, and they must be bad people. And I went in there with that bad attitude. These people had water fountains and elevators in their house, bro. Like, they were living well. They were the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and the most giving and kind people. And that was a complete mind shift for me, because I thought of rich people as being a bad thing. And then I got to know actual rich people and went, they're way nicer than me. I need to become them. And so it was a huge change for me, getting to know those people instead of having them be someone else.
Interesting. Why is that though? Like, is it the whole, like, you're born to win and programmed to lose, or trained to lose? I hear that all the time. You know, I think I read somewhere that in an article that you know, the only fear that you have when you're originally born, the only fear is the fear of falling, and you have learned fears as you grow up. So it's like, why are we afraid of planes? Why are we afraid of, there was some doctor that talked about phobias, right? It's like, why are we afraid of, you know, knocking on doors? Why are we afraid of getting out of our own door, right? Even as a Golden Door Award winner, I'm assuming you still have some fears, don't you not?
100%. You know, somebody told me one time, and it really stuck with me. They said, look, we're really successful because we've gone and done the thing over and over and over again. People that are highly successful are not fearless, they're courageous. They just go do it anyways, and they go do it anyways enough times that they build the mental and emotional and physical muscles that they can keep doing it. They can do it harder. They can do it better. It's through practice. You know, a lot of great speakers, if you listen to them for long enough, will say, look, I didn't start out as a great speaker. I went and I got on stage and I sucked. And I sucked for 3 years. And then one day it just clicked. And you hear that over and over again with a lot of great speakers. And so what it is you just have to go do the thing and you'll build the muscles along the way. New synapses come. Every mistake you make, you're going to learn from.
Wow. So let's talk about that really quick in regards to mindset. When it comes to like the mistake you said, every mistake you make, you learn from it, right? John C. Maxwell wrote a whole book on this. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Great book. Highly recommend that book as well. You know, with the guys that are in roofing, the guys that are in solar and pest and alarms and windows and meat and insurance and real estate, the guys, you know, the guys and girls, obviously, right? When I say guys, I mean, generally speaking, people, groups, people. So I don't want to get any freaking emails like you always see guys all the time.
Women kill it in this. In fact, I ran a canvassing team out here in Florida, and the women ran circles around the guys. Like, there's just not enough women doing it. And when you have a smaller sample to go off of, that sample can make or break other people's view of how it is for women, because if there's not enough of them, one bad one makes it look like, oh, they can't do this. Versus you got a whole team of females, some of them are going to run circles around the guys, and you're going to realize, okay, there's something there. One of the things that I noticed about them, so I feel like I love people and build relationships, right? But in my Strength Finder, that area is actually very weak for me. I just try to overcome that by doing more, but it's actually not my natural strength, right? Women, not all, right? Nobody's in a vacuum, right? Or whatever, but the women have a tendency to build relationships legit, like actually care, actually listen. I'm not just trying to get out my point and get on to the signature. They actually pick up things so that they can come back later and say, hey, I remembered you said Susie did this and that. Here's something for Fido, whatever it is. They actually care. And what a difference that makes, and how many more referrals the girls got, females, women got than the males did. Huge difference.
Yeah, I totally agree. At one point I had an all-girl team as well, and they just ran circles for other men. I always tell girls, always, you would definitely have an advantage here. So that was really cool there. So tell me about this mindset of fear or of loss for the guys and the girls and the women that are just starting out in door-to-door sales or in their entrepreneur career. They're listening to the podcast, listening to the show. You know, I got asked this yesterday too, and I thought I did a pretty good job at answering it. But I'm only saying that from my, I guess you could say, even limited experience. So tell me, David, from your experience, you know, what would you tell, 20-year-old David again about fear and about loss? Like as a young entrepreneur, what would you have done differently, if anything?
Be more bold, invest more, worry less about looking cool. You know, my first car was a red car with no top on it. You know what I mean? And it wasn't super expensive, but I felt real cool, and it was a lemon and cost me a ton of money. I would care way less about getting the girl or looking like I could get a girl or those kind of things. I would focus now, if I could go back with the same information I have now, screw how I look, screw who's going to want to be with me. Like, literally just head down, run as hard as I can, make as much money as I can, and not for some kind of greedy, money makes me cool kind of thing, but because money is freedom. Money is the ability to live how you want and to be able to help others have more, do more, love more, whatever. Like, having those resources, like money is just a medium, right? It's the ability to not have to make as hard of choices. And when you have that money, like when I go to pay my car insurance, there was a day and time where I was struggling to make that monthly payment. Now, every time it comes up for renewal, I call up and say, hey, I want the $300 off so that I can pay the entire thing right now. And I'm thankful to be in a position where I can do that now. It saves me money. Like, That's insane, right? But when you have the more money that you're able to make and have, the more opportunities you have to save money or invest, and that is a game changer.
Love to hear that. Yeah, I always say it's not about how much money you make; it's about how much money you keep.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of guys look real flashy until they're broke, and I'm not trying to be that guy.
I think Ed Mylett said that. Do you remember what he said? Hey, do you remember what he said there
No, go ahead.
on stage? So it's easy. Anybody can have a hot flash in the pan, have a 1-2 years of success.
Right.
I'm talking about having decades of success.
Right, absolutely.
Decades of winning. That's what he said.
I do remember that. Yep.
Anybody can be a flash in the pan.
And we've all seen them come and go.
I will smash you in business.
Over the long haul.
Yeah, right. I love Ed. Can you tell I've listened to that thousands of times?
I do, because I remember it, but I wouldn't remember all those words. That's perfect. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, as far as going back to your 20-year-old, being a 20-year-old again, that's really good advice, man. I appreciate that. So tell me a little bit about back to your now transitioning now. What do you think the difference is, knowing what you know now, going from your your Golden Door years to now with EuroShield roofing? Like what do you think has changed now in between the golden years of the best market, the best economy we've ever lived in, to COVID, and then now today with the highest gas prices the world has ever seen, the highest everything? How is that? Like where are you now? As far
so
as
I'm in Clearwater, Florida now. It's paradise down here, by the way. But I cover 13 states. I drive literally thousands of miles per month, and making sure I'm out in front of contractors. Our product, 23 years in business, and most contractors have never heard of it, and that is the opportunity of a lifetime for me. Because what I do is I just get out in front of them, and I spend more than 90% of my time on the road just going and knocking doors. Just like the old days with knocking doors with homeowners, it's the same thing when you're going to talk to roofers. And I laugh every time I walk up to a door and there's a no soliciting sign on the door. And I'm like, really, guys? Really? I know you have salesmen that are out knocking doors. So I take a little pride in knocking those ones a little harder. But going in there and do that, just putting in the work, just getting in front of people. Hey, if it's not for them, cool. I will source that out and see that it's not for them. But I want to make sure that I give them every opportunity to see it, and that they understand. I can't force them to understand, right? But I can put the right information in front of them so that if they're open to receive, they will understand that it's the best product that they can give to their homeowners.
Well, here's the thing. So I want you to full send talk about your product right now, because in solar, and I've obviously sold a lot of retail roofs and insurance roofs myself. I had that same exact question of what you guys with EuroShield roofing, what you guys solve. It doesn't make sense to me why we would continue to go through the headache of getting a new roof because of hail or because of whatever, storms. Like why that's why people go to metal roofs. And the metal roofs are sure a little bit longer, but they don't have to go through the hassle of hearing bang 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 on their roof every 2 to 3 years. And in certain markets, it makes sense. Maybe not in Vegas where we don't get hail or lots of wind damage. I mean, we get a lot of wind damage, but like in these markets that are like that, which is like over 50% of them, for roofing purposes, like why aren't they doing stuff with your product? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like obviously you're out pounding pavement business to business now, like, but this makes sense. And I think personally why is because, one, the business owners in roofing, no offense, are more old school, which again, it's one of the big problems. Like when AI came around, when we saw like the late 2000s, 2009, 2010, around that era, when like AI and all this, hyper trading came around, that's when the economy started to boom again, because these traders were not, pushing paper to go buy a freaking contract of 1 million shares of a stock anymore. They were freaking going back and forth to Europe on a fiber that's like, hundred thousands of a millisecond, right? Milliseconds to be able to do trades. So the roofing industry is still technically, in my opinion, is outdated. They're not using high technology. They're not using products like EuroShield House. They're not calling you David Summerly to get this in their product, in their force, because honestly, to them, what they see is short term. They'll lose money, but guess what? Like, they're not getting repeat money anyway, right? They're not getting repeat business. They're not going and getting new roofs. Most of these guys are not. They're going, they're doing a blitz model. They're going from one state to another. They're not really going back. That's another thing. Don't get me wrong. That's one of my new products that is just being released. At least it's to all my coaching, the guys and girls that I coach right now, the companies that I coach. It's going to them. I'm about to release this stuff too. Like, it's a major problem. I don't want to get it back into door-to-door sales. Like, dude, I did door-to-door sales for 10 years, almost 10 years, 9.5 years. Like, dude, I'm not going back to knocking on doors. I'm still technically knocking on doors in my fund and raising money by knocking on doors technically, but I don't want to have to get back in, because I don't feel like that's where I need to be. I need to go out and stick my neck out to help guys and girls that are in the door-to-door industry, which is the same thing that you're doing now with Euro Shield. So why is it, David, that roofers are hard-headed? Why do they not? Because to me, your product makes so much sense. Why are they not doing it? So present to me what about your product, so people can hear on the show what is your product, and why are customers more happy with this shingle than the other crappy shingles that the other guys are selling?
There's a lot to unpack there, right?
Please.
I jokingly refer to asphalt shingles as disposable asphalt shingles, because we all know, 30, 40, 50-year warranties, and they're full of crap. Those warranties are prorated, and they're not going to last anywhere near that long, and we all know it, right?
Especially not in anywhere other than, anywhere. They're not lasting that long.
So our product has a transferable lifetime warranty that's non-prorated for the first 50 years, because we expect it to last a minimum of 50 years, legit, not just to get it sold, right? That just comes automatically with the product, and because we want it to last a really long time. Most of these roofers, a lot of them will say to me, "Oh, well, I like selling the disposable roof because 1 to 5 years from now, it's going to be in landfill, and I'm going to sell them another roof." No, you're not. They're going to hate you, because you told them they had a 40-year warranty, and they didn't. You told them that roof was going to last, and it didn't. You told them that you sold them the upgrade for that impact-resistant roof, and yet here they have hail damage again. And
leaks.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so you mentioned metal. Like, there's Dmitry Lipinski just recently did a thing with a guy up in the Dakotas, and he went from selling asphalt to selling metal, and then he was still having to replace those roofs because the metal gets dented. So he switched to EuroShield, and same hailstorms came in, big hail, no problems, perfect roofs.
Wow, you're
big
kidding.
difference. Our product being rubber, it's primarily tires. The hail bounces right off. It's unmatched. There's nothing better in the market than our product when it comes to hail. And our product, that's the Vermont Slate HP, is the guaranteed hail-proof roof. It's the only one in the world. There is nothing else that's guaranteed hail-proof for our product. There's a video that'll be coming out soon. There's a company in Texas that does testing that is also a roofing company, and they're about to release a video, and our product lives up to the name. And then they crank their hail cannon up so high. The guy called me, was like, "Just so you know, I'm cranking it so high, it's going to go through any product and through the decking. Don't be alarmed, but that's how high I'm going to crank this thing up just to put it to the real test." And I was like, "All right, cool, man." He sent me the video. It didn't. It still bounced off. There's a little tiny like indentation you can see when he cranks it to like basically double hail speed, and nothing. And so it's just a phenomenal product. Like, and not only that, like that peace of mind of knowing when your homeowner's like, "This is my 4th roof. I'm sick and tired of this. I'm getting old. I never want to do this again. I've paid you deductibles 4 times. I don't want to do this anymore. Sell me something that I never have to deal with this again." And then they actually go through and listen to their customer and provide a better solution, better EuroShield. When they do that, the homeowners are raving fans of the product. They tell all their neighbors about it. They end up selling to the neighbors. It's got a transferable lifetime warranty. If they sell the house and move somewhere else, guess what they end up doing? They end up looking for a roofer to sell them a EuroShield roof again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so they end up making sales later, not only because they're in our system now, and homeowners are looking for the product. Roofers need to be looking for the product as much as homeowners are. I get calls every single week. I've got 6 of them in my inbox right now that I need to be calling out to find a roofer for them, because I don't want them trying to install it themselves, and I don't want to quote homeowners. It's a lot easier to quote a contractor. But it's a phenomenal product. It's got extreme wind resistance, been tested at 225 miles per hour, holds up to sea salt, algae. It's just a phenomenal product. And you're going to make more money now instead of hoping to make more money later by selling them an inferior product, hoping that you're going to have to replace it later. That's just wrong. Like, that's morally wrong. Why not put your best foot forward? Sure, give them the option of replacing it with what they have, but also give them the option of knowing there's a better product out there, knowing that they make a conscious decision on whether they want to go with the same old junk they've been doing, they keep having to replace, or whether they want to go with the last roof they'll ever buy.
Can I tell you something real quick?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for one. That is what you just said, and I hope that you already. I mean, I'm assuming you already use this, but I just did a quick Google search. For one, I've got a couple questions about your product. Two, 30% of plastic in the ocean, 30% of the plastic in the oceans each year comes from tires. 30%. I don't know if you've ever seen the tire freaking islands that are out there, but if you're not using that,
heard that. Yeah, I've
if
seen
you're
that.
not using that, if you're not using that in your pitch to homeowners or to companies as a salesman that's knocking door to door, that's selling for Euro Shield, you need to be doing that, because it looks like on your Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Euro Shield is talking about how tires into roofs. So like, you want to talk about like global warming? Like, bro, we are destroying 30% every year. That's compounding, dog. What happens to the tires?
Right. Well, they're not.
Yeah, they're not. Recycling most of these. They're going, in the landfills. Like, we are going to have, this is residuals that we're going to have to deal with that 100 years ago, they didn't have freaking cars that had freaking tires. So our kids are going to have to deal with this. And if we don't turn these into reusable things like a roof, bro, so my hat's off to you for actually making a difference in the ecosystem and the world, right? For the environment's sake. Hey, I'm not just talking about global warming here.
Every square of Euro Shield includes an average of 16 tires.
Wow. Every square?
Every square has an average of 16 tires in it.
So for my people that don't know what a square is, how many squares in a average 3,000 square foot house? Average.
So that'd be 30 squares.
30 squares, 412 pitch, whatever, a normal roof.
Yeah, on average, that's about 30 squares. So you just move the comma over there.
Perfect.
But basically, yeah. So the 16, times 30, whatever, you can do the numbers there, right? But 16 in every square is the average for how many tires are in there. So the average roof that we do is 300 to 500 tires in there. And the bigger ones are obviously a lot more, but we have a cool picture that has, all the tires piled up in a landfill, and then it's got it, on a truck shipping out his product, and then on a roof, and it's pretty neat. But yeah, I mean, there's only so much space. There's only so much resources. Yeah, I'm not freaking out that we're running out of this or that, but I also can do math, and not quickly in my head, but I get the concepts, right? Like, there's only so much space. There's only so much of each nutrient, resource, whatever it is, right? There's a limit on those things. So unless you're going to get them from somewhere else, you're going to run out of things. And unless you find other ways to use and dispose of things, you're going to run out of space to put them.
Dude, yeah, I totally agree. And why not repurpose these things? There's a really cool company that I'll have to connect you guys with that I've got some ideas for you to help your company and help your career that I just, unfortunately, I almost invested into it, 50% of it earlier this year. But I ended up turning it down because it needed a lot more of my time than I could give. And I knew with the American Energy Fund and Golden Door formula that there was no possible way that I was going to split my time again. One of those at that point would have failed. If I had two cousins that were business professionals that could do this, like Elon Musk gave to Lyndon and Pete Rive, at Solar City. Maybe I could have done that, but I didn't have it at the time. I can definitely run a SpaceX and a Tesla, but there ain't no way I'm running a Solar City Tesla Energy at that time. So I would love to give it to you and connect you and see how that goes. But it's a product that is right up that alley that I knew that this is a problem. Like, people are getting these warranties that they're having to get a new roof. And then you're right. I didn't even think about that. I thought metal roofs were, basically good, but you're right. The bank below the bank, I live in a high rise in Houston. The bank right below us, it's a Wells Fargo. The bank's roof is metal and it's blitzed with hail. I was like, oh, look at that. Like, kind of a cool.
Well, those dents eventually turn into leaks.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine. So that's pretty awesome that you're solving that. And I don't, whether you know it or believe it or not, you're doing a major impact on the environment. So, and again, I'm not just talking about global warming. I'm talking about like fish, bro, like the oceans and the atmosphere, like where we get all of our water from. We're like 70%, like our bodies are 70-something% water. We say we have a water problem, but we really don't. We have a people problem, that it's a money problem. They're really greedy about, charging more for water in Vegas right now. Like, it's national news that our lake there in in Las Vegas, Lake Mead, is like at the all-time low. And it's right. I've flown over it like 3 times in the last couple of weeks, and I can literally see the bottom of the lake. And it's like kind of scary. Not kind of scary. It's really scary. It's pissing me off.
There's plenty of water in the world, but clean drinkable water is a whole nother story, right? So we have to find
there's desalination plants that are there, doing it all around the world, in India and Africa, all over Europe. They're just becoming more resourceful. But again, it's because of money. And it's one of the reasons why, again, guys in roofing don't want to use your product, because they think, which is actually not true. It's counterintuitive. They think they will not be able to resell. I would love to know how many people went back and resold a happy customer. No, they're pissed off at you. You don't want to go back to them because you lied and said that the next hailstorm that we upsold the insurance or whatever to them, you lied to them. So that you don't want to go back to those. So if you were to just sell them the right product and do the right thing to them, we have the same issue in solar. If you could just do the right thing for them, it'd be a whole different ballgame, bro. You'd be repeat business. You're telling me that your homeowners are going out and selling it for you, basically referrals. My business was 53% referral, bro. Like, you do that because you treat people right. You sell them what is right for them, whether we're making money, a killing, or we're making nothing and we're paying for it. It doesn't matter. Sell what's right for them, and you will get a referral business, which is where my Golden Door formula comes in. So, dude, I love this, bro. So tell me a little bit about, obviously with with the economy and Euro show, but with the economy, the way that it is, do you see roofing continuing to thrive and be a thriving industry, or do you see it, slowing down? People ask me that about solar all the time too, with where the economy is at right now. Do you see roofing continue to crank with roofing?
Unless we have population collapse, we're still going to need the same number or more roofs, right? I don't think that's going to go away. I think we're going to need more roofs, but I think that over time, people are going to demand a better product. We've been putting asphalt shingles on for how long, and filling up our landfills with them for how long? People are moving to the synthetics. The homeowners are calling not just us, but our synthetic competitors as well, saying, hey, I want your product, and I can't find a contractor who's selling it. They're all selling the same asphalt crap. And look, I have friends at Atlas. I love them over there. They're good people. They're selling what
of course.
And whatever. But for me, I think that over time, all of these companies are eventually going to be giving better solutions. I think a lot of them are going to move into the synthetics. I think the recycling, man, it's taken a long time, decades for us to build that base, right? But I think we're at a point where it's becoming a lot more economical to be able to do that. The base is there to do those things. And now the homeowners, we're moving into we're in a fourth turning or whatever. After a fourth turning, you have a big shift forward where people are going to come together for solutions. They're going to demand more inclusive society. They're going to demand all these things. And one of those things is going to be taking care of the environment too. And I think we're at that point, and it's time to get on board with doing the right thing instead of letting our machismo, our trying to be the tough guy and no, this is what I'm doing. Let go of that stuff. Nobody's impressed by that. Just, look at what is the best solution for your homeowner and sell them on that. And if they choose otherwise, cool, whatever, you did your best. but I think it's time to evolve and evolve our processes and evolve our own mindset on what we're offering and providing, and get rid of that scarcity mindset of thinking you're going to sell them some cheap crap now and some more cheap crap later. Sell them something of quality that they can be really excited about, that they want to go tell everybody about.
Yeah, I agree. Make them raving fans, if you will.
100%.
Ain't that right? I love that, dude. I'm excited. I'm excited to see where roofing goes, where your company Euro Shield goes. I'm excited to see how recession resilient roofing is going to be. I just know I know roofing is a great product to sell. It's a great service, so long as the guys are doing it correctly. So let me transition really quick. We talked about. Go ahead.
Can I say one thing before you do that? I apologize.
Yeah,
one thing I meant to say is, we're still going to need to sell more roofs, right? Whole new roofs. But if we go into this recession, which some would argue we already are in,
we are.
There's probably going to be a lot more repairs going on too. And so guys I don't do repairs. Repairs are high profit for the amount of time that you spend on them. And repairs eventually turn into full replacements. And so I've heard Dimitri and other guys that are like, why would you not sell repairs? I agree 100% with those guys. And understand, if I'm pushing repairs, that means you're probably not buying my product right now with EuroShield, right? Because for most people that don't have it already, it'd be full replacement, right? But I'm telling you, as somebody who cares, go sell repairs. Sell those repairs where it's appropriate, where it makes sense, where that's all they can afford genuinely. Go sell that repair. Go impress them so much that when it's time for that full replacement, they're going to call you.
I'm about to say you're their roofer now. and then follow up with them and be like, hey man, how's it going? Hey, we had a storm. I did 10 houses, a neighborhood over. I mean, is your roof okay? I might be able to stop by next week and jump up on the roof to make sure. Do you guys have any leaks?
Genuinely care. Send them a thank you card. Be different. Be the kind of person that they want, that they will feel comfortable referring out, because they know that the other person's going to get treated like a human being and like you actually care.
I'm done. I'm getting back into roofing.
Come on. I love it.
This is awesome. If I did roofing for real for a summer, I would destroy people, dude. With the Golden Door formula that I have, the follow up and referral platform, dude, that is, the guys that I've been using it right now are freaking loving it. The goal is to take people off of pipeline management and get them back to prospecting and back to presenting, and then help them actually get referrals. It is disgusting how many people are not getting referrals. I'm like, bro, my whole business is referral. My whole clothes is referral. Like, who do you refer?
So much easier to sell a referral. So much easier.
Oh, dude.
Night and day difference between selling a referral and selling somebody you had to go out and bug. There's no comparison between the two.
Let me ask you this about EuroShield. Do you guys do S tiles as well, or is it all? I know it's not all composite shingle looking roofs. I saw you guys' website and all that. Is there an S tile? I didn't see that. Is there that kind of a look still as well, or no?
So currently, what we do is slate, and it looks so much like slate that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I'm a little bit hard on the company because they've obviously done something right, that they've been in business for 23 years. But I'll just be very blunt. From my outsider perspective coming in, I would walk by their booth and I'd see a lot of people walk by the booth and look at it and go, well, that's a slate roof. We don't sell slate, and keep on walking, not realizing what the booth was and what the product was. And so we're working on that. We've made a bunch of changes, marketing, branding in the recent past that I think are going to have a major impact on sales going forward. We're already up 20% right now. But we make a slate that looks so much like slate, you can't tell the difference from a distance.
You can't.
And
you can't.
It's amazing. And then we sell what we call a Beaumont shake and a Ranchland shake. The Beaumont shake was Beaumont was the name of an employee who passed away, so they named it after her. But that Beaumont shake is just gorgeous, and the Ranchland is just a thicker version of that. The thicker version on the slate looks like a freaking castle. That's what I originally saw walking through a neighborhood, and I was like, what is that? that's gorgeous. And I went up and knocked the door and was like, hey, what is this? And they gave me a flyer, guaranteed hail-proof. That doesn't exist. And so I looked into it and was like, oh, sure, yeah, sure enough, it's real. I want to sell this. And here I am selling it all these years later now.
So, tell me about do you know much about like the heat resistance on this or heat coefficient on this? Are these roofs getting, I know that all roofs get, concrete roofs get scorching hot. A rubber roof, I'm assuming it's a little bit less hot, but which is why like rubber roads get less hot than asphalt roads. Do you know the heat coefficient on this? Are they getting it just as hot, or is there anything that's inside of this that helps it out?
Not being the technical guy, I'm not going to get into the science of it, but what I can tell you is, you know how a window will have a dead air space inside, and that dead air space makes a huge difference on the amount of heat transfer going on. Right. Same thing with this product. Our guaranteed hail product is not going to help as much with it because it's shaved on the back. It's very close to the decking. All of our other products have those dead air space air pockets on the back, and that makes a huge difference. So compared to like an asphalt shingle, you've got a major differentiator there on having that dead air space there. It's going to actually help keep a lot of that heat out of their attic.
Cool. Yeah, and there's stuff that you can do on the inside of the attic, or even, I'm assuming if you guys are not already selling this with EuroShield, that you can add this in there. You can add like a radiant barrier under that, if you will, to help the heat from going in, which could be an awesome adder because you're already taking the roof off. Why not throw on a radiant barrier on the outside?
Big difference.
So
the other thing about this product, most of the other products out there, the sun bakes everything, right? And the sun tries to take things back to their original base color, white or clear, whatever it is. And so most products fade. Ours starts with a carbon black, so it cannot fade or crack the way that it's designed. And so if anything, it's going to get slightly darker, not noticeable to the naked eye for most people, but it's only going to darken. So your black is just going to get blacker.
Let's go. I love that. I'm thinking, I won't go there. All right. Awesome. I know you said this quite a few times. I wanted to talk to you this before I let you go. Quotes you live by. You've said that there's some quotes about that. So what are a few of those quotes that you've lived by either in the past or today?
A lot of times I'll pull good quotes out for people just like when it comes to me. But
when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. That's obviously
that's one right there for sure. A lot of stuff I go back to is a lot of Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins has been huge for me, big differentiator, with all of his stuff with Step Up and, going and doing the fire walk. I don't know. Have you ever been through a Tony Robbins event?
I've been to an event, but I've never done the fire walk.
Yeah, the fire walk is a game changer. So let me tell you a little secret about me. I am overly analytical, and that is a problem for me. There's a speech that I love where he basically says that intelligent people have a harder time being successful because they're overthinking, right? But for me, I went in to do that fire walk, and I went in going, this can't be real. There has to be a trick to that. Maybe these are like lava coals, and you can't really feel the heat. I had all these things going in my head to try and rationalize how on earth people are walking over fire. And I went there, and those coals are between 1,200 and 2,000 degrees, and that's not lava rocks. That's wood. That's real fire. And they break it all up, and they get it, and they check it, and when it's between 1,200 and 2,000 degrees, they're ready to roll. And you walk over 12 feet of that. Well, he spends more than an hour before you go walk over those coals, priming you, getting your mind in the right place so that you're ready and so that you can push the heat away from your body, because our body is way more powerful than we realize it is. And so basically he primes you for an hour and gets you ready, gets you in state. You go out there. I went with a friend of mine, and she was diehard believer, like all in, doesn't overthink anything, doesn't second guess, whoop, right across it, no problem. I went down my lane, and I got about halfway across, and my analytical brain went, is this real? Like, is there a trick to this? Am I able to even, oh God, I can feel it. Oh God. And I had to put myself back in state and finish across. And I came across, and I had little burns on my feet. because halfway across, I lost my state and I questioned it, and then I got to feel it. And for me, I needed that. I needed to know that it was real. And I paid the price for that. I had little burns that were there for a day or two. But most of the people, the vast majority of the 13,000 people that walk across that, no pain, no burns, no nothing. But I am an overthinker, and I had to see for myself that it was real and legitimate. And after having walked across that, dude, that's a game changer. Like the confidence that comes from that, because confidence, self-esteem, imposter syndrome, those were all things that were a struggle for me. And coming out the other side of something like that, it just changes your mindset. Like my courage went way up from there. You know, one of the things Ed Milet, when I was struggling with trying to figure out how do I become more confident, because you know it's hard to just, oh, I'm more confident now, right? Where do you get that from? And so one of the things he said was keep your promises to yourself, and that hit me. Like I am a promise keeper. Like I said earlier, you know, I grew up on broken promises. I don't want my daughter to know what a broken promise is. So promises, keeping my word, being a person of authenticity, those things are important to me. But I had to keep that to myself, not just my word to everyone else. And so if I'm going to do these things, if I'm going to believe these things, am I really, or am I just talking? And so what I started doing was making promises to myself, making commitments to myself. You know, I woke up this morning. I had a little trouble sleeping last night. I fell asleep early, woke up, and then was like, "Oh, I'm wide awake," and then I was tired again. And then at the
You were
gym,
so excited for this show, bro.
I know, right? Overthinking it. So when it came time to get up and go to the gym, my trainer was like, "Hey, man, I got a short window. If you want to skip today," and I was like, I could tell him, nope, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. Bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time in life and not keep my commitments to myself. And so I just pushed through, went to the gym, dead tired, and guess what? By the time my workout was over, it's full of energy. And that's the way it works. You go to the gym in the morning, you're going to have a lot more energy the rest of your day.
I love that. Some really good quotes to live by in a general sense. So I'll be able to pull a lot out of that. I hope everyone got something from that too. So we'll end here. Tell me a little bit about your end goal. What is David Summerly's end goal? What does that look like? How old are you now, and when are you done, bro? What does the being done look like?
I'm 40. People say, when will you retire? When will you quit working? I can't see myself not. I'm going to end up being a Warren Buffett type where you're still working. And if the working means reading 8 hours a day, that's still working, right? I don't think that I'm ever going to quit, to be honest with you. I just don't think that I have it in me to just quit and sit around. I think that when you quit working, quit having a purpose, you die. And so if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And so for me, it's a continual burst of growth constantly. And, there's going to be days where you slow down and days where you speed up, and it's just continual. But for me, long term, yeah, sure, want to make a bunch of money. Everybody does, right? The money is not the goal. The goal is to be able to have more freedom. The goal is to be able to have an influence and an impact on others. And so I have different things with charity I'd like to do. Finding people going out, the people that are on the street that maybe they made a hard choice or something happened to them. Now, there's people with mental illness that I can't help, and I will happily refer those people to the right resources to get them help, but that's not my people, right? I want to find the Ogmandinos, the people out there who, Ogmandino was, to my understanding, and if I'm off, apologize, but my understanding is he was an alcoholic and homeless, and he walked into a library and read a book. I want to find the Ogmandinos out there, whether they're homeless or not. I try to find those people everywhere, working at the local Wendy's, working at Wall Street. I don't care. Like the people who need that push to be a better person, to achieve more, to have the life that they have always wanted or didn't know that they wanted, but now can see for themselves and go after.
Dude, I love that, bro. Money is not the goal. Oh, dude, I talk about that in my book, Purposeful Profit, a lot, about how we chase money, and then we end up chasing two different things. We want purpose and we want money, and we end up with none of them.
Yeah, you got to figure out who you are, because having more money, more or less money, is just going to make you more of whatever you are. And so, what are you? Who are you going to be? You have to make a choice.
Dude, spitting fire, bro. I love that, dude. Well, dude, David, I really appreciate you, brother. I'm looking forward to your success. Seeing your daughter get married and have kids, and dude, just be an outstanding leader in the community. And it just shows how much of a great father you are, a great person in your community, and a great person for the not just the door-to-door space or the roofing space, but for all as and all entrepreneurs. You're definitely somebody like that to look up to, and I really appreciate you, David, for what you're doing and what you're continuing to do. So, how can people find you, David?
So you'll find me on most of the social medias. Facebook, I've got David Summerly for industry people, David Brandon Summerly more personal if you're not in the roofing space. TikTok, I've got David Summerly and EuroShield Rubber Roofing. Instagram, I've got David Brandon Summerly. Got Twitter, got LinkedIn. I'm pretty much everywhere where there's a reasonable amount of people. Obviously, there's going to be some weird social medias out there that are just a small number of people. I'm probably not there yet. But any of the general ones, you can find me on there pretty easily. Anybody that needs to call me about EuroShield, you can give me a call. Be happy to put my number on anything you put out there. Otherwise, just reach out to the company if you need information on it as well. And anybody I can help, anybody that just needs to talk, like I've been there, man to man, man to woman, woman to man, it doesn't matter. Like, if you need to talk, reach out. Anything I can do to help make you better, to help make me better, to help make the world better, I'm here to help.
Let's go, dude. Thank you so much, David.
Sir.
Right on. Well, one last thing before you go, David. If you were to lose everything, government took everything from you, and they gave you a fresh slate to start over, but you had to start completely over. Whether it's the economy it is today, and let's just say it's today in 2022, the economy is what it is. We're in a recession. We are. What would you do? What would you do? If you had to restart, what would you do?
Right now, you look at the Templeton Foundation and what happened there. And with Templeton, he went in during World War II. Everything was down. We might go into a total war. We're in a fourth turning. It may end up in a civil war or a world war. I don't want any of those things. Those things are horrible. But history has shown us that the same pattern happens every generation, and they go in 4-generation cycles. We're in that fourth turning. It's probably going to happen, right? So be aware of that. Be mentally prepared for that. Don't let that drag you down. Understand this is a cycle. Where are you at in the cycle? How can you succeed? How can you help others? How can you become more instead of less, right? But right now, the economy is kind of taking a dive. We're in winter, as Tony Robbins says right now. And you know what? The thing is, I don't want to be, I heard from Dean Graziosi the other day, I don't want to be a thermometer. I want to be a thermostat, right? I want to decide what temperature things are going to be at. The old cliche, the same boiling water that softens potatoes, hard boils eggs, right? You have to choose what kind of life, what kind of outcome you're going after, and then you have to set your course based on what you're looking for. Right now, economy's taking a dive. That means everything's on sale. You don't complain when everything at the store goes on sale, right? Like all the stocks, all the investments, everything's on sale right now. It's a great time for people to start putting money in. And maybe they want to wait a little while. That's up to you. Talk to a financial advisor. That's not me, right? But I know that right now everything's going on sale, and what people need to do is go make as much money as they can. Like, love your family. Don't abandon your family. But have a conversation with them and say, look, I've got to go work really hard right now. And I appreciate your support and your love, and anything you need, I'm there for you. But right now, I'm going to put my head down and I'm going to go as hard as possible to make as much money as humanly possible right now, because it's time to make the money to invest so that all of us can have a better future. I can't affect the economy as a whole, but I can affect my personal economy. And when things are on sale, liabilities are one thing, but assets are on sale right now. You need to obtain as many assets as possible. and they're on sale right now. So go make as much money as you can so that you can buy those assets so that you can have so much more later.
What vehicle are you talking about in roofing?
Yeah, I mean, roofing is somewhere where you can make a ton of money. If you have something else that makes a ton of money, cool. I love pest control. I really am passionate about pest control to a weird way. I did pest control for a little while as a technician. I love it, but it doesn't make enough money. And so, yeah, it's fun. It's cool. I like to know a little bit about that, and I do my own, right? But that's not where I'm going to make enough money that I can be a world changer, where I can make a difference. And so roofing is an area where you can make stupid amounts of money. If you have something else that is a vehicle, maybe you're doing commercial real estate and you're going to make even more than me. Great, go do it. Whatever it is, go do it. And that's the thing, just do it. That's that speech that I was talking about earlier with Art. Do it. Do it and do it and do it until the job gets done. And just go. And there was another speech by a guy named Byron Schrog in a MLM I used to be in. And he was like, how much, how many people ask, well, how much do I have to do? Whatever it takes, like, just do it. Like, go do it until you have enough, and then you'll know. And that's the key to it. Like, don't overthink it like I do, right? Just go, and you can think about it later. When you have all the money in the world, you can sit around and think all you want. But right now, you need to just go do it.
I love that, dude. I appreciate that, David. Thank you, man.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. We'll
Stay
chat
strong.
soon. Thanks, brother.
Everybody.
Stay strong, brother. Cheers.